Chapter 1: The Fateful Encounter. Winter in New York always wore a dazzling beauty that took one's breath away. Snow blanketed the streets, while Christmas lights from bustling shop windows illuminated the city with a warmth that sought to drive away the biting cold. Central Park, transformed into a magical wonderland, became a gathering place for couples and families cherishing rare moments of peace and joy amidst the chill. Yet amidst the cheerful crowd, Alexander Gray stood alone under the bare branches of a snow-covered tree. A young millionaire with a stellar career, others might assume he lacked for nothing, but only Alexander understood the deep loneliness that consumed him. His heart remained haunted by Amelia, his childhood best friend who vanished without a word, leaving behind an emptiness and guilt that weighed on him for years. As he was lost in thought, Alexander's gaze suddenly stopped on a woman sitting on a snow-covered bench. Though the distance was significant, her face made his heart stop. She looked exactly like Amelia, the long chestnut hair cascading over her shoulders, the deep, sorrowful eyes, and the fragile demeanor. Everything matched the memory of Amelia that he held on to so tightly. His heart raced uncontrollably. Unable to suppress his emotions, Alexander rushed toward the woman. The snow crunched under his hurried steps, but he hardly noticed. When he was just a few strides away, he broke into a near run, his hands trembling as he grabbed her shoulders. "Amelia, is that you? You've come back!" Sophia Lane jolted, her eyes wide with shock, as a strange man appeared out of nowhere, gripping her tightly. A wave of fear shot through her, and her first instinct was to struggle free from his grasp. "Who are you? What do you want? Let go of me right now!" Sophia shouted, her voice sharp and defensive. "If you don't back off, I'll call the police." Alexander froze, confusion and sadness flashing in his eyes as he looked at her. He couldn't comprehend her reaction. Was she pretending not to know him? After all these years of searching, he couldn't accept that possibility. "Amelia, it's me, Lex. Don't you remember me? We grew up together. You can't have forgotten." Sophia's fear escalated. This stranger wasn't just calling her by an unfamiliar name. He was saying absurd things, claiming to know her. She shoved him away, glaring at him with both anger and apprehension. "Are you crazy? I don't know who you are. You've got the wrong person. Stay away from me." Alexander's hands dropped slowly as her words sank in. He stared at her, stunned. Only then did he notice the faint differences in her expression and gaze. Could it be that he had mistaken her for someone else? His overwhelming emotions had clouded his judgment, but looking closer, he still couldn't shake how striking the resemblance was. "This can't be. You look just like Amelia," he murmured. "I'm sorry if I frightened you, but I've been searching for her for so many years." His voice softened, filled with loss and regret. Sophia remained cautious, stepping back and clutching her bag tightly as if it were her shield. "Please, just leave me alone. I don't know any Amelia. My name is Sophia Lane, and I'm not whoever you're looking for." Before Alexander could say anything else, Sophia turned and fled. Her hurried footsteps echoed over the thick snow, her breath misting in the icy air. In her haste, a small old pen slipped from her bag, landing quietly in the snow. Alexander stood frozen, his eyes following her figure until she disappeared into the snowy haze. When he noticed the pen on the ground, he bent down and picked it up. His gaze sharpened as he examined it. A small, well-worn pen with faint scratches on its body and an inscription barely visible. It was identical to the pen Amelia had once carried. Alexander's grip tightened around the pen as his heart sank under the weight of confusion. What was the truth? If that woman wasn't Amelia, then why did this pen, a precious memento of his past, fall from her belongings? And if she really was Sophia Lane, how could she look so much like Amelia? The questions swirled unanswered in his mind. "Could this be fate?" Alexander whispered, his voice trembling as his gaze turned toward the snowy distance where she had disappeared. He knew he couldn't leave things here. That woman, whoever she was somehow connected to Amelia. He would find out the truth. Welcome to today's story. Don't forget to follow our channel to ensure you don't miss any meaningful stories every day. Leave a comment below and share where you're following this story from. Who knows, you might connect with fellow story lovers from around the world. Chapter 2: The Truth Slowly Revealed. A few days after the unsettling encounter in Central Park, Alexander unexpectedly saw Sophia again in a small cafe nearby. The moment he stepped inside, his eyes caught sight of her sitting quietly in a corner, focused on writing in her notebook. Alexander froze for a brief moment, his heart skipping a beat as memories of Amelia from their childhood surged back. Though nervous and uncertain, he gathered his composure and approached her table. Sophia looked up, startled to see Alexander standing before her. Her gaze was wary, and she watched him cautiously as he spoke first, his voice steady yet sincere. "I'm sorry about the other day. I didn't mean to frighten you. I truly had no bad intentions." Sophia studied him carefully. His calm and apologetic demeanor softened her suspicion. The nervous man from the park no longer seemed threatening. She responded slowly, her voice guarded. "Who are you? And why did you call me Amelia?" Alexander took a deep breath before sitting across from her. Looking into her eyes, he began to explain, his voice tinged with sorrow. "Amelia was the name of a childhood friend of mine. She disappeared many years ago. And when I saw you at the park, I truly couldn't believe my eyes. You look exactly like her. The same eyes, the same presence, as though she had come back." Over the next few meetings, Alexander began to share more about his life and his memories of Amelia. He spoke of their childhood days, how the two of them would spend hours playing under the trees, how they would sit together and write their dreams in notebooks, and how Amelia always carried a particular pen that she cherished dearly. His voice faltered when he described the day Amelia vanished without a word. He had searched for her tirelessly over the years, but every effort ended in heartbreak. Sophia listened intently, her initial wariness giving way to an unexpected sympathy. Alexander's sincerity was unmistakable, and his pain resonated deeply within her. The man who had seemed so abrupt and overwhelming during their first meeting was now someone different, vulnerable, thoughtful, and profoundly lonely. How could he have lived with this guilt and longing for so many years? Sophia thought to herself. She couldn't ignore the deep sadness hidden behind his calm gaze, nor could she deny the genuine bond he seemed to have shared with Amelia. "Maybe she had her reasons," Sophia whispered gently, unable to shake off the weight of Alexander's words. The story of Amelia's mysterious disappearance began to stir an inexplicable curiosity in her heart. That night, as Sophia returned home, Alexander's words refused to leave her mind. The name Amelia, the strange resemblance Alexander spoke of, and the story of the pen had triggered something familiar deep within her. Unable to ignore her instincts, Sophia retrieved a small wooden box her mother had left her before passing away. The box contained old letters, photographs, and trinkets, remnants of a life she had never fully understood. Digging carefully through the keepsakes, Sophia's hands froze when she discovered a letter tucked away beneath an old photograph. The handwriting was unmistakably her mother's. Sophia carefully unfolded the yellowed paper, her heart racing as she read the faded words. "My dearest Sophia, there is something I've always wanted you to know when you were ready. You were never alone. You have a twin sister named Amelia. Because of our difficult circumstances, I had no choice but to give your sister to another family to raise. I am so sorry that I couldn't give you both the life you deserved. If you ever have the chance, please find her and tell her that I have always loved her. Both of you are the greatest joys and pride of my life." Sophia's hands trembled and tears filled her eyes as the truth sank in. She had a sister, a twin sister, whom she had never known. Amelia. The name echoed in her mind like a bell. Could it really be? Was this why Alexander had mistaken her for someone else? The emotions surged through Sophia, shock, sadness, and a strange, overwhelming sense of connection. She sat in silence, clutching the letter to her chest, tears streaming down her face. The revelation left her breathless, as though a missing piece of her identity had finally been revealed. The realization struck hard. Amelia had truly existed. As she gazed at the box of memories, Sophia knew she couldn't let this be the end. She had to uncover the full story of Amelia, who she was, what had happened to her, and why she had disappeared from Alexander's life. Deep down, she felt an unshakable urge to help Alexander find the closure he deserved, and perhaps, through this journey, she would also find a way to connect with the sister she had never known. Chapter 3. The Investigation into the Truth. After discovering the clues from the pen and the letter, Alexander and Sophia resolved to uncover the truth about Amelia's whereabouts. Each step they took was filled with a mix of hope and trepidation, unsure of what lay ahead. Following leads from the adoption records, Alexander and Sophia traced the family that had once adopted Amelia. The search proved difficult at first, as few people remembered the family. Days passed with no progress until they stumbled upon an old records office in New York. There, a kind-hearted manager led them to a dusty file that contained the family's former address and faint, faded details. Alexander stared intently at the file, his emotions churning as memories of Amelia grew more vivid. Beside him, Sophia's heart pounded as she thought about the twin sister she had never known. According to the records, Amelia had been adopted by a middle-class family and lived in New York during the time Alexander was still a boy. Alexander's voice trembled as he spoke, his eyes fixed on the file. That family. They lived so close to my home, and I never knew. That must have been when I met Amelia. We used to play together in Central Park. Sophia's eyes widened in surprise as she looked at Alexander, who closed his eyes briefly, as if to push back the wave of emotions. His voice grew softer as he continued. Back then, Amelia was like a light in my otherwise lonely life. She always encouraged me to chase my dreams. But then, one day she was gone. They moved away without a word. I searched for her for so many years. Sophia remained silent, her heart aching as she listened to Alexander's words. The pain of losing someone so important, coupled with her own growing connection to Amelia's memory, weighed heavily on her. When they finally visited the address listed on the records, they found the family had long since moved away. The disappointment hit both of them like a punch to the chest. Most of the neighbors were new and had no knowledge of Amelia or her adoptive family. Days stretched into frustration and exhaustion. But at last, after piecing together small fragments of information, they learned that Amelia's adoptive family had moved to a quiet suburb outside New York City. The lead took them to a modest house on the outskirts of a small town. The house stood in quiet solitude, blanketed in snow, surrounded by barren trees. Alexander and Sophia stood at the doorstep, hesitant for a moment before Alexander knocked gently. A frail, elderly woman with silver hair and kind eyes opened the door, peering at them curiously. "Who are you looking for?" she asked, her voice soft but cautious. Sophia stepped forward, her voice calm and respectful. "Ma'am, we're looking for information about a girl named Amelia. Did you once adopt her?" The moment the name Amelia was spoken, the woman's expression softened into a mix of nostalgia and sadness. She nodded slowly. "Yeah, Amelia was our adopted daughter, but she passed away many years ago." Her words hit Alexander and Sophia like a sharp blow. The room seemed to stand still as they processed the heartbreaking truth. The woman invited them inside, where she offered tea and sat down to share Amelia's story, her voice trembling with emotion. "We adopted Amelia when she was just a little girl. She was such a sweet and gentle child, always so kind to everyone around her. But as she grew older, she fell ill with a terrible condition. We moved here to this quiet town, hoping the peaceful surroundings would help her. But her health continued to decline. Amelia never wanted anyone to know. She didn't want to burden her friends, especially not the boy she always spoke of. Alex, I think she called him. Alexander's breath hitched at the mention of his name. He sat motionless, his fists clenched as he listened. The elderly woman continued, her gaze distant as though reliving those days. "I remember Amelia sitting beneath the cherry tree in the garden, writing in her journal. She said writing was her way of finding peace. Before she passed, she gave me her journal and asked me to keep it safe. She said, if anyone ever came looking for her, that journal would belong to them." With slow, deliberate steps, the woman disappeared into a back room and returned moments later with a small wooden box. Inside it lay a familiar pen, the same as the one Alexander had picked up in the park, and a worn leather-bound journal. The woman handed the box to them, her voice soft. "This belonged to Amelia. I think she left it for the two of you." Alexander's hands trembled as he opened the box and picked up the journal. The leather was worn with age and the faint scent of old paper clung to it. Slowly he flipped through the pages, recognizing the handwriting at once. Amelia's words were filled with emotion, each sentence brimming with the quiet courage of a girl who had faced so much. Dear Alex, if you're reading this, it means I'm no longer here. Please don't be sad for me. My only wish is for you to live a happy, fulfilling life. The days we spent together were the best days of my life. I always believed in you, Alex. Follow your dreams and never look back. You are stronger than you know. Sophia's voice trembled as she read over his shoulder. Toward the end of the journal, Emilia had written about her longing to meet her twin sister, the one she had been separated from as a baby. Sophia wiped tears from her cheeks, her heart aching for the sister she had never known. She missed me all those years, she whispered. In the quiet warmth of the small room, under the soft glow of lamplight, Alexander and Sophia sat side by side, united in their grief and love for Emilia. The journal had given them the answers they sought, but it also carried a bittersweet weight. Emilia had suffered in silence, yet she had left behind a legacy of love and hope. Alexander looked out the frost-covered window, his voice barely above a whisper. Emilia never truly left us. She's still here, in our hearts. Sophia held the journal close to her chest, nodding through her tears. She's found her family now, and so have we. The journal became a bridge between the past and the present, a testament to friendship, family, and the enduring power of hope. For Alexander and Sophia, it was not just an end, but the beginning of healing, together. In the heart of New York, amidst its chaos and splendor, two people had found solace. They had come together through loss, yet emerged stronger, united by the unshakable bond of love, forgiveness, and hope. Emilia's spirit lived on, not just in the pages of Sophia's book, but in the quiet moments of laughter and peace that Alexander and Sophia now shared. The snow had long since melted, but the memory of that winter, of healing, of reconnection, would remain with them forever. Chapter 5. The Emotional Climax. On Christmas Eve the following year, New York City was draped in a dazzling, magical glow. Twinkling lights stretched across every street, church bells echoed in the distance, and the laughter of passers-by intertwined with the crisp winter air. Snowflakes fell gently, covering rooftops and barren branches in a pristine white blanket, creating a serene, festive atmosphere. Alexander stood before the mirror, adjusting the gray wool coat that hugged his tall frame. His expression reflected a quiet resolve, a man preparing for something significant. In his hand, he held a single white rose, a flower of remembrance and purity. Tonight, he was ready to leave behind the ghosts of the past and embrace the possibilities of the present. Sophia stepped out of a taxi, her breath fogging in the cold air. Wrapped around her neck was a deep blue scarf, the very one Alexander had given her months earlier, a gesture she had come to cherish. The freezing wind brushed against her cheeks, but strangely, her heart felt warmer than ever. She still didn't fully understand why Alexander had invited her to the park tonight, but instinct told her this moment would be different, special even. The park was almost empty, a quiet haven in the middle of the city. The golden glow of street lamps reflected off the snow-dusted paths, and the occasional whisper of wind through bare trees broke the stillness. Sophia's footsteps crunched softly as she approached the old bench, the same bench where they had first crossed paths in confusion and fear. Alexander stood nearby, his figure silhouetted against the faint glow of the lamps. The white rose in his hand contrasted against the darkness, a symbol of something pure, unspoken. He seemed lost in thought, staring at the bench as though it still held the echoes of the past. When he heard her footsteps approach, he turned, his lips curling into a faint smile. "Thank you for coming," he said softly. Sophia returned his smile and sat beside him on the bench, the cold wood pressing through her coat. For a moment, they simply sat in silence, listening to the gentle rustle of the snowflakes as they settled around them. Then Alexander placed the white rose delicately on the bench beside them and spoke, his voice steady but tinged with emotion. "Sophia, do you know something?" he began, his eyes fixed on the horizon, as though seeking courage. "When Emilia left, I couldn't accept it. I carried her memory with me for years, believing I could somehow reclaim the past. I searched for her, searched for answers, as if finding her could fill the emptiness inside me." He turned to face Sophia, his dark eyes reflecting both pain and peace. But then I met you. At first I thought you were her. I couldn't see beyond the past. But you've shown me something, Sophia. You've helped me realize that loss doesn't erase love, and the people we've lost will always live within us. You've helped me find Amelia in a way I never thought possible. Sophia's breath caught in her throat. The sincerity in his words, the raw vulnerability, made her chest tighten. She opened her mouth to speak, but Alexander had already shifted before her. To her surprise, he slowly knelt on one knee in the snow. The world seemed to freeze around them. From his pocket, he drew out a small velvet box, and when he opened it, the light from the lampposts caught the sparkle of a delicate diamond ring. His gaze, filled with hope, but also a flicker of fear, locked onto hers. Sophia! His voice wavered slightly, the weight of the moment pressing down on him. I don't want to lose anyone important to me ever again. I spent so many years chasing shadows, but now I know I need to live for today. You are my today, Sophia. You are my hope, my future. Will you step into this life with me? Will you help me write a new story? Our story? The quiet question seemed to hang in the air, as soft as the snowflakes falling around them. Sophia felt her heart swell with emotion. She looked at Alexander. This man who had endured so much loss, who had given so much of himself to a memory, and saw the strength and tenderness beneath his scars. For a moment she was speechless. Then, with tears glistening in her eyes and a smile trembling on her lips, she whispered, Alexander, you came into my life like a storm, unexpected and overwhelming. I thought you were a stranger, even a threat. But now you're the most important person I know. I don't want to see you alone anymore, and I don't want to be alone either. Emilia would smile if she were here because you finally found your happiness. And me, I say yes. A wave of relief washed over Alexander as he let out a breath he hadn't realized he was holding. His smile, radiant and unguarded, lit up his face as he gently took Sophia's hand and slid the ring onto her finger. Their hands lingered together, his warm and steady, hers trembling with joy. Snow continued to fall, settling around them like a silent witness to their union. In that moment, the park seemed to come alive. It was no longer a place of loss and misunderstanding. It had become a sacred space where healing, love, and new beginnings intertwined. As they sat together on the old bench, hands intertwined, Alexander looked at Sophia and whispered, I think Amelia would be happy to know we found each other. Sophia nodded, her smile soft and her heart full. She's the reason we're here, isn't she? In a way, she brought us together. The two sat there, no longer haunted by ghosts of the past, but instead embracing the future with open hearts. On this quiet Christmas Eve, beneath the falling snow, they had found not just each other, but also peace. A new story had begun, a story free of loss and regret, built instead on love, trust, and the promise of a shared tomorrow. Chapter 6. The Wedding. A few days later, Alexander and Sophia held a cozy, intimate wedding at a small church in New York. The Christmas tree stood tall and resplendent, adorned with dazzling ornaments and twinkling lights. Candle flames flickered softly, casting a warm glow on the wooden pews, while snow gently fell outside, dusting the stained glass windows with a blanket of white. Silent witnesses to a perfect, joyous conclusion. Sophia stepped through the doors, radiant in her pure white wedding gown, as if she had just walked out of a fairy tale. The dress flowed gracefully around her, highlighting her natural beauty. Her cheeks blushed softly, framed by cascading waves of chestnut hair. She looked every bit like the heroine of a story that had finally found its happy ending. At the altar, Alexander waited, dressed impeccably in a classic black suit. His gaze was fixed on Sophia, unwavering and filled with profound love and gratitude. His smile, one he once thought he'd forgotten how to wear, now shone brighter than ever, mirroring the joy in his heart. As Sophia reached his side, they turned to face one another, surrounded by friends and loved ones. The world seemed to slow, and for a brief moment, it was just the two of them. Two souls who had been lost, but now against all odds, had found each other. Alexander gently took Sophia's hands in his voice rich with emotion as it echoed through the tranquil church. Sophia, you brought light into my life, chasing away the loneliness and healing the scars of my past. I promise to stand by your side, to protect, cherish, and love you for all of my days. Together we will build a future filled with laughter, hope, and endless happiness. You are my home, my heart, and my everything. Tears glimmered in Sophia's eyes as she gazed into his, her voice trembling but clear with devotion. Alexander, thank you for believing in me and for waiting, even when you didn't know what you were waiting for. We have faced loss and heartache, but it is those very trials that brought us here today. I promise to walk beside you through every storm and every joy as we write the rest of our story together. The church bells rang out in a triumphant chorus as Alexander slipped the delicate ring onto Sophia's finger. Their smiles lit up the room, brighter than any candle or Christmas light. The congregation erupted into applause, the joyful sound filling every corner of the church. Outside, the snow continued to fall, but its touch was no longer cold. It carried the warmth of love, renewal, and promise. After years of misunderstandings, loneliness, and loss, Alexander and Sophia had finally found each other. Their love was not just a celebration of the present, but also a tribute to the past that had shaped them, filled with memories of Amelia, who would forever live on in their hearts. She had been the bridge that brought two strangers together, her memory now a symbol of healing and hope. As the newlyweds stepped outside the church, hand in hand, they paused to take in the wintry wonderland around them. The snow swirled gently, as if the world itself was celebrating this moment. Sophia looked up at Alexander, her eyes filled with the same warmth and love that he saw in his dreams. "It's beautiful," she whispered, smiling. Alexander tightened his hold on her hand, his voice soft but steady. "Not as beautiful as this moment, this life we'll share." Their story became a testament to the enduring power of love and perseverance, a reminder that no matter how harsh life may seem, happiness awaits those who dare to hope and believe. And so in the heart of New York, during a magical Christmas season, a new chapter began. It was a story not of loss or regret, but of love and the quiet strength of two hearts that had finally come home. Thank you for being part of our journey. How would you rate this story on a scale of 1 to 10? We'd love to hear your feedback. It truly inspires us. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel, give this story a thumbs up, and share it with your friends and family.